crime and my friend. There you are. There you are. I've been looking for you. Been worried about you. Not really, but kind of. Get in here. What are you doing? Well, he probably
and I apologize. And your co-host, Trainer Cal.
Yay, Trainer Cal. Are you? Oh, that's right. You switched sides, didn't you?
Yeah,
we switched sides.
Yeah.
Yes. I missed you, even though you were sort of, kind of here last week.
Yeah,
sort of.
Yeah.
So are you? So for those of you who don't know, Trainer Cal. Time changes differently in England. And so for him, it affected his work schedule. He's a teacher. And normally he's teaching and throws, the headset on 1 second and runs in the door for the show. But that hour, that wasn't going to work. So 2 weeks ago, you couldn't be here and you showed up at the very last minute last week. But now he's back, and I am so happy. He's my yang to my yin. That's what I always say.
It's really nice.
I'm so glad you're here.
It's nice to be an extra hour away from you, Lolly. It feels great.
Oh, my heart right now.
Oh, she was so glad that we were moving an extra hour. You were like, oh, thank God, he doesn't bother me as early as he did.
Well, I was trying to rack up points that week, but it didn't help. You snuck in here different times and got points. I know you get up here just to get points. I get it.
That's the only reason why I'm here. I'm here for the points.
Yes. Yeah, you're here for the points. I know. He's just here for the points. He doesn't have enough T-shirts yet, so.
I don't have any T-shirts.
I feel weird over here, Cal. It's just not right. It's like the side of the bed couples sleep on. My husband and I were laughing so hard because you don't do that at your house? I mean,
No, I do.
We have sides.
I was wondering where you were going with this, but when you said it's being in the same bed, like I was a bit worried. But yeah, carry on. Enlighten me.
I can't help where your brain goes. I can't help it. Anyway, so you get so we sort of got used to our sides of the bed, but we were laughing because we go to Arizona to see his dad probably once a month, maybe every couple months, and for some reason, when we sleep there, we change sides. We don't know why, but we realized. I mean, this is really important stuff, I know, but we realized this last weekend. I go, do you realize we sleep on the opposite when we're in Arizona? Why'd we do that? I don't know.
I've
just
worked
weird.
It out. You're right. Me and the wife, we're on different sides of the beds depending on where we are. And do you know what it is? I worked this out, and it was when we were staying on our honeymoon. I was like, why are we swapped? I don't like being this side. I like being I'm always on the right-hand side, because I'm only the driver. We drive on the right in the UK. She's on the left. She's always on the left. And she was like, oh, it's because if someone breaks in, you're the first one near the door, so you can protect me. She's throwing me under the bloody bus, guys. That's what she's doing. Mm-hmm. If someone breaks in,
go for me that makes sense. But in both cases where I'm at, the door is at the foot of the bed, so that doesn't fit. But I will be honest, I kind of steal the bathroom side. I'm gonna get to the bathroom. I do that, so he has to walk all the way around. Yeah, I think I did that. I think that's me. Anyway. Bathroom.
Okay, so we have to go to the bathroom. We stand there. We don't get we could luxury sit.
Yeah, but you take so long. You just take too long. Anyway, let's go nuts. Let's just stop that right now. I'm gonna stop.
Sounds like a married couple, right, guys?
Yeah, it's like Anyway,
about the bathroom.
Yeah. Anyway, so there we go with the bathroom talk. Anyway, how was your week? Now you're back to your normal time. Are you one of those people that says? Time change throws me off for 3 weeks. I don't understand that. But some people have that problem.
It doesn't. I get into my head the day before that it's an hour ahead. Like I always say, if it's 9 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock. I go to bed early, wake up. Because I don't set an alarm on the day the clocks go forward, it doesn't throw me off schedule, which is pretty good. But I do notice the days go a bit faster, which is nice. Yeah. Because I think you're just used to the light, aren't you, and stuff. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I work in IT.
I thought you knew everything, Cal. I thought you knew everything. No. I'm sorry. I was just kidding.
I wish I did. But no, feels good. How about you? Is it nice to have me back in your ear?
It's yes, and I love having you back. I've missed you, but I do want to point something out that while you were gone and I wasn't seeing you all the time, you built this amazing botanical garden. I just have to really talk about Cal's botanical garden because it is so pretty. It is so beautiful. So I'm already finding myself going in there and just like, you know, having that vibe in there that just, and the colors are beautiful. And so, this is what you do when I'm not in your ear. You actually build beautiful things, and I want to say that I'm very impressed with that. So you guys check out Cal's Botanical Garden because it is really quite beautiful.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
The reason why I bought it. This sounds soppy. Oh, this sounds soppy. I apologize if anyone wants to leave. I built the world for Lolly D. Actually, it was meant to be a talk show, and the top part was for wasn't it for the talk show? We talked about the setup, and then we were just like, it's a good world, and I was like, I'm jealous. I want to keep it.
It totally should have been shared with everybody. It's way too pretty for that. So no, I'm glad. But I am going to throw out a little promo of my own here. You guys know I have another show called Let's Talk About It, Another World, which Takatato up there built for me, and I love my set. Thank you, Takatato.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody says it's beautiful, but I decided to take it on the road, and so my first show is going to be in Trainer Cal's garden next week, and we're going to go from world to world to world. So if you guys have a world and you would like to host us there for Let's Talk About It, that would be great. So we're just going to try to showcase other people's worlds and get around a little bit. So anyway, it will be at your botanical garden next week. I'm excited about that. So anyway, let's talk about our show today. We got a great show today. I'm very excited.
Completely forgot about the show now. I thought we were talking
Did you forget about it? First of all, our guest,
joking, Leo.
Leo the Architect, can you come on up here? I will tell you.
Come on up.
Leo has got a power issue at his home right now. Come on, have a seat. So he may be here and he may freeze or things that might go on, but so far he's in good shape. So we're gonna be happy about that. Yeah. Leo is a real life architect. And I met him. I don't even know how I met you. I wandered into your world or something. How did I get there? I don't know. Anyway, he was in the middle of doing something, and I'm like, this is wow. This is what this is. And I realized that you take a real live architect and you put him in here with these tools where they're not hostage to weight-bearing walls and all those things you got to worry about in real life, and just let your design fly. And wow, you guys, you've got to see some of his worlds. But more than that, I wanted to just talk to him about, you're an architect. What are you doing in here? Let's talk about this. So welcome, Leo. We're very excited to have you here. Yeah.
I'm excited to be here. Hey, Trainer.
So I
feel like I'm between mom and dad right now. This is great.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much how everybody feels in here.
Dad, mom, go ahead.
Or how about brother and sister? We don't want Cal to feel too.
Brother and sister, okay.
Brother and sister. So many shows. It's the first time that's ever mentioned. Thanks, Leo. You're a first.
you guys started with the bed scenario. Anyway.
We can edit that out.
We can edit that. So Leo, tell them a little bit about yourself, and before you got. This is what I was afraid of. Come back. Oh, you're still talking. Though we can still hear you. Go ahead.
I actually didn't catch that because it actually froze. Everybody froze for a minute.
That's okay. So Leo, can you still talk? Oh, this is what I was afraid of. He's like, here's what he tells me. He goes, I have a power outage in my building, so I'm using my hotspot. And I'm like, well, this is great because if he disappears, which he, oh no, there he is. Okay, go ahead.
I'm here.
He's back.
I'm here.
Okay, so
I'm so sorry about that, guys. It's so weird it happened this morning.
It's not your problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, so explain to them what your background is before you got here to the metaverse.
Yeah, so as you mentioned before, I'm an architect. That's sort of what my background is, architect in training. I've been kind of heavily in the design world for some years now. So started off in the architecture world. I moved out to China. I lived in China for about 7 years, where I was doing architecture for a couple years. And eventually started a design studio that really specialized in kind of robotics, 3D printing, more like digital fabrication. So we did a lot of wearable tech projects. We have a Guinness World Record for the world's largest 3D printed structure, and we did a lot of really cool projects like that. And then a few years ago, my wife and I moved back to the States. We're now based out of Miami, and yeah, sort of on my transition back here, there was COVID happened a few months into being back, and it was like, of course, the world got shaken up, right? And then sort of everyone started saying, like, well, okay, what am I going to do? And so I had thoughts like maybe I'll re-kick off my design studio here in the States. Maybe I'll launch out an architecture firm. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I ended up launching out one of my products, and that's kept me busy for a couple years. But of course, that design bug is always there. I'm an architect, right? And so I want to be in there designing, doing really cool stuff. And so naturally, my wife, she bought a headset, and she was like, "You really got to check out this really cool world that I'm checking out right now called Horizon Worlds." And I was already into the whole kind of metaverse, NFT, cryptocurrency talk. And I came in here, and I mean, within a week, I was, kind of thinking, okay, what am I going to create? And so I started off with a simple house, and things kind of took off from there.
Oh my God, your
What made
house.
you,
Is that the? Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
so what made you choose like building with poly shapes as opposed to Unity and Blender that you could probably express your skills a lot better with? What made you choose here?
Right. So right now, it's just more or less a limitation of the platform. But as I understand it, that's going to be changing over time, And so I think just at its early stages right now, there's hardware capacity issues, right? So our hardware in our headsets and graphics and things like that. So for that reason, they've contained it to a few primitives. But as we've seen throughout the updates, these primitives are getting more and more advanced, more complex, and so. So I guess to answer your question, I do design, in the real world with other softwares, with more advanced softwares. But I have to say, I really enjoy designing with primitives in here. It's an amazing limitation that I think for designers, like designers kind of geek out on those limitations. It's a parameter that says, all right, how can we create within these limitations, And I know for a lot of people it's frustrating. Granted, for me, sometimes it can get frustrating as well. But it causes, it's like, what is it? Necessity is the mother of all innovation, right? And so it's kind of one of those things you have to think, how do I innovate? How do I attack this problem in an innovative fashion that allows me to have an output that I'm aiming towards? So I actually really like that.
Awesome. Yeah. And I guess it does unlock more creativity in you. You need to think of things in different ways, different light to bring in what you want to bring in. And I'm hoping that helps you in the real life, right? What different ways of thinking?
Yeah, it's one of the things that I talk about to a lot of my architecture friends, or just friends in design world. I talk about this idea of you go from the real world and all the limitations that exist here. So things, as you mentioned before, Lolly, like code and gravity and, like people's safety and things like that. These are all requirements that have to happen way before design. And so you come in here and those things are sort of out the window. Right, I don't have to worry about the ceiling falling here, or if it falls, like maybe everyone gets a point, and so that's kind of like cool and fun, right? Like that's kind of the metaverse, right. And so so I think what's really cool is it forces my brain, and I think designers' brains, to change, and suddenly you start adapting to the opportunities. Let's call, not limitations, the opportunities within the platform. I think the most interesting part, however, is then how that translates back out to the real world. And so what I mean by that is I'm like building stuff in here going, how can I 3D print this in real life? Like I mentioned, I have 3D printed large structures. So I'm thinking, like, can I build something in here that I can 3D print, like whether it's furniture or a miniature house or something like this? And so my brain is, I have to say, the metaverse has really expanded a part of my brain that I don't think was there before. Or it was there, but it just wasn't.
So you can use this place to create things that you can visualize and then actually apply to your real life, and that is amazing.
Absolutely,
that is
it's
crazy
really cool.
Crazy good. Who would you say are your influences? Because typically when you hear an architect, they'll say, why did you become one? Like, what influenced you, and whose architecture are you influenced by?
Oh goodness, that's such a loaded question, because I've been doing architecture for so many years that I have like my personal favorites. They're probably people most people don't know about, like David Ajay and Herzog and Demeron, and really just amazing architects out there. But I think I've had the opportunity to work with and for really amazing star architects like Frank Gehry. I've done work with Zaha Hadid's office. So Frank Gehry is the guy who did Facebook's or Meta's headquarters, right? Okay. And like Walt Disney Concert Hall, and like really amazing projects. So I have to say, although I'm inspired by everyone's work, I'm just it's really difficult to pinpoint one individual architect, to be quite honest, because it really depends on the context that I'm talking about. Am I talking about like, innovation within sustainability and its contributions to society, or am I talking about just design in general and it's pushing the boundaries on sort of innovation and technology? You know what I mean?
I
And so
kind of like
it's
the
really difficult.
design aspects of it. So, like,
Yeah,
maybe not a person's name because we probably won't know who they are, but maybe you can
right.
describe the style. Like I told you
Sure.
when I entered your world, I kind of got an MC Escher
Yeah.
feel from an art standpoint. I did, and I liked
Sure.
it because I like that art. But what is there, a style that you're
Yeah.
influenced by, or
Styles, of course, I think all designers are influenced by different styles. I love the modern style, just minimalist, clean style, but I'm also like, something happens where every once in a while the full moon comes out and I become a contemporary, like, which is the kind of world that you saw, more contemporary, wavy forms, curves, and really bold things like this. And I had the experience of building out a few projects like that in China.
yes,
And I couldn't do those here in the States. In the States, I mostly did schools, things like that. So it was mostly regular, let's call regular type of architecture that has some modern-esque feel to it. But out there, you can really, Dubai and other places like this, you can really push the boundaries of design. And so you're going to get extremely curvaceous forms and just, I think, forms that push the boundaries of what traditional architecture, how it's normally been seen.
yeah. That's great. I love the mall that you did. I keep hoping that someday somebody makes a
Oh,
mall like
Cyber Mall,
this.
you went. Nice.
Oh my God, I loved it. I was like, "Man, this is cool." If you guys haven't seen it, it's like, how would we describe it? It's like stacks of like almost like kiosks, kind of, sort of, with
Yeah,
walkways.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
funny. You'd be surprised. That mall started out with me looking at butterfly wings.
Oh wow.
So like
cool.
inspiration comes from everywhere. Like I was just looking at structures in nature, and I looked at sort of the kind of cellular formations in butterfly wings, and then I started looking at cellular formations in plants, and I started going, "Oh, this is really cool. I wonder if I can create this type of geometry in Horizon Worlds with the limited primitives that we were talking about before." So it started off as that kind of exercise, and before I knew it, I was like, "All right, I have to make this something useful." So that's where I decided, like, it's either going to be a shooter arcade or a mall. That's more friendly.
Yeah, such a cool
But yeah,
build. I really enjoyed that.
it's it's known as, you have sort of straight edges, round corners, and then everything stacked on top of each other, and then you have hexagonal kind of pods that insert in. And
Well,
it's a very futuristic type looking.
from a woman's standpoint, like, you guys know this, you got to get to the mall and where that damn boot store is because I've got this child that needs a pair of boots, and where is it? Well, you can literally stand there and you can like see everything like
Yeah,
all at
yeah.
once. I love it. And I thought,
Believe it or
that's
not,
the way a mall
I've
should
built
be.
stuff like this.
This is cool. And that's, I would
Yeah.
imagine that's where you built it over in Asian countries. Would that be where that would be? Or
This particular design was just a design that I was like kicking around, but these type of designs, yeah, like over there you get to do like 6 or 7 story malls.
yes.
This is one of the first projects I worked on. There was it was a mega mall, and it's 7 stories of shopping, multiple residential towers all around. It's just like, it's, the scale is something that I was not used to. Even though I've been doing architecture here for quite some time, but usually on these larger international projects, you get like huge scale. So yeah.
Right, right. So the one that visited you in, the one that I posted the picture of you in, can you describe
Right.
that world to them and what's
Sure.
happening
So
there?
that's an unpublished world. I hope to publish that maybe in the coming week or so. So actually, that world was designed for a new project that I'm working on called Metaverse Masters. And so I can go a little bit more into the detail of the project, but essentially what it is was a way to showcase other creators and bring a bunch of sort of really great creators together in a space here and have a sort of friendly competition between us, called Metaverse Masters, right? Kind of like Master Chef or something like this. And so when I was designing the world, I was thinking it has to be something that's interesting. It doesn't necessarily have to be very functional like a mall or anything like this. It just has to be, I think, very attractive looking. It has to be pleasing to the eye. And so I started working on these very organic shapes and forms, which is very difficult to do inside of here. But working through a series of techniques, I was able to kind of create these forms. And And so right now it's like 75% complete. I still got to finish it. But yeah, you came in right at the right time, and we had just built out the stage and sort of the seating and things like
Super
that.
cool. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
that. It's just, it's, I travel around and I look at all these different worlds all over the place, but there's something unique about someone like you because you are a builder in real life. So you come in here with a different set of eyes than most of us will have. We become builders in here. You
Sure.
are a builder. So what a different, cool perspective. It's just a whole different perspective. And I totally enjoy it. It is fabulous.
Thank you.
Is there any world in particular that you would, because I didn't get a chance to look at every one of your worlds this week, and I so apologize because I usually like to do that. But would you say there's one of your worlds that you would recommend, or it's your favorite, or?
Oh, I don't know. I think, I mean, I love Cyberworld. That was just a cool project. But in the end, it was kind of, for me, I considered it a bit of a failure because I never really completed it. And this is a habit that I have where I'm like working on a world. I get it to an architectural point where I'm happy with. But one side that I have to really improve, or that it's just an area that I'm not so great at right now, is how do you sort of quote unquote metaverse that out, right? And make it kind of gamified or make it a bit more useful from avatar perspective, people flying around shooting each other, things like that. And I'm not a scripter. It's just not it's not what I've done yet. So I'm really more like, I want to focus on my niche, which is building, and then hopefully work with other really great scripters and say, hey guys, come in here and let's and design a cool game or something like that. So exactly. I love collaborating. It's just finding the right partners. So Cybermall is one of those. A project that I did get to collaborate on, he's not a scripter, but he's another designer in here, was Bentley. I don't know if you had a chance to see that one. That's a house.
No. Oh,
and
yes. I did see that one.
Yeah. So that one's just like a big house, essentially a big mansion, right? Kind of like California style.
And Leo.
Hey,
Oh, hey,
what's
Unemployed.
up?
How are you, my friends? Good to see
on
you.
in, man.
Everybody.
Come on up. Meet Leo the Architect.
Come on up.
Leo, man.
What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Good to see you. I've got great respect for the stuff that you do in here. And if you don't mind, I'm going to hijack the show for a minute. I have
Go right ahead.
Trevor from Grand Rapids. He's a reporter, and he's coming in to check out the metaverse. And I thought, what better way to introduce him to this, to show him the Good Morning Soapstone show.
Nice to see you all.
Well, good morning, Trevor.
Yes.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
It's great. I for the record, I never want to like take over a stage. You guys are doing Lord's work out here.
No, this is great.
I heard about Aaron here. My name's Trevier, reporter here, and so this is
hi, Trevor.
Very, very interesting. It seems like it's certainly an environment where people can really just distance just really doesn't matter. And it seems like I was a little bit of a skeptic, but it seems like real conversations are kind of happening here. Is that kind of right?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. I will tell you, this particular show, we focus on people doing all different kinds of things in the metaverse. What was attractive to us from Leo is this is an architect coming into Horizon Worlds. So we actually have a real life builder coming into this world. And I don't know that you guys were here yet, but one of the things Leo shared with us was how great it was to not be held back by code enforcement and load bearing things and all of the things he would be held back by. So what a great place for him to put his ideas to work in here, right, Leo? And then he can transfer that out into the real world too. So it's beautiful. Wow. It's a great
with the addition of gaining extra skills in here, which is kind of there's restrictions in Horizon Worlds which you've kind of broke the barrier of and made very creative worlds from that, which has kind of helped you in the real world as well. So it's kind of a two-way, which is brilliant. Yeah.
Well, and also you have like a whole different user profile, right? Of people like jumping on your building and off, and like that can't happen. It's like, wow. Okay. But welcome, Trevor. This is amazing. I'm happy you're here, and
thank you. I'm not going to be jumping off any
It's good that you joined on because
I
think a lot of people forget that these are like real people
behind
these
here. You can see the experience. I was telling you how you can't truly understand it by watching it on a two-dimensional screen. But now that we're here and you're looking around and you're seeing the people, isn't this amazing? Isn't this different than anything you've ever experienced?
I feel like this is a great way to... I don't want to say I'm amazing.
You're amazing.
I feel like it's a safe space where people are just supportive and such. And I feel like I'm talking too much, and I want to get to these guys, but wow, I don't know. I guess people here are from really all across the world. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm from the
If you're
UK,
comfortable
so
sharing where you're from, would you? I'm from Virginia.
All right.
California.
Miami.
Kansas City.
Portsmouth,
North
United
Carolina.
Kingdom.
I'm
Virginia.
from the UK as well.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm
South
glad you're
Carolina.
here.
Massachusetts up here.
Michigan.
Okay. Oh boy. For a show of hands, how many people actually expect comedy for something that would take place in this space? And if anybody's able to talk about that, is that something that you see as realistic in the future? Go ahead, Maddie Cates.
Maddie, you're yeah, there you go.
Do you want me to come down, or do you want me to step here?
Sure.
Yeah, no, the Soapstone stage is actually go. Jeez.
There you go.
Jumps like
Right
this.
over the rail.
Just I don't even know who it was, but someone was behind me. He's like,
Aaron,
"Go
sit on the
on." It scared me. Yes, the Soapstone stage is actually a remarkable, versatile platform of performance, and there is a plethora of things that happen up here, including comedy, and it gives everybody the chance to come up here and do their thing and really amplify who they are and touch the crowd. And it has been a juggernaut within the metaverse when it comes to reaching out to people. So kudos to the team.
Okay.
And Trevier, welcome to the metaverse.
Oh, much appreciated. I love being able to see everybody's hand gestures. I feel like in nonverbal communication, this might have not been able to be communicated, but it's there. And
Well, when you see people doing this out in the real world, you know that they're from here. We all do this.
that's
Or one of
the
these.
sign.
But yes, that's my answer. I'll be back on stage to ask Leo a question though.
Sure. Thanks, man.
Yeah, so Trevier, this is what I was talking about. How it's impossible to communicate this on a two-dimensional platform. Trying to replicate total immersion on television is equivalent to trying to replicate television on radio. It's just so perceptual. It's so immersive and so encompassing that I'm so glad you were able to come in and meet some of the phenomenal people of the Soapstone, the phenomenal people of the metaverse here, and actually be able to experience it. There's a lot of conversation around the metaverse and what it is and what it will be, but when people truly come in and experience it, when people come in and make the personal connections and feel the sense of presence, it completely changes their perception of the metaverse. So thank you so much, sir, for taking the time to come in and experience this. Buy yourself a headset, and we'll see you in here a lot more, I'm sure.
I am
And a
strongly
t-shirt.
considering it at this point. So no, everybody.
It's a lot
I
of
usually
fun.
Like to, it seems like it. I always like to say I'm someone who's willing to put myself in your shoes, but this is kind of a first. So appreciate you welcoming
Well,
me. And
you can't put yourself in our shoes in here yet.
maybe that's for the best. well, thank you all so much. And to everybody here, once again, I don't like being on the stage. I don't like being on the stage. Thanks for being so
You're doing a
supportive.
great job. You're a natural.
Oh, great. Maybe in a
Trainer
perfect
Cal,
world.
Lally, Trainer Cal, Lally, thank you so much for everything that you do with Good Morning Soapstone and the Soapstone in general. Appreciate you so much. Leo, thanks for giving us some of your time in here. I appreciate you. I can't wait to catch the recap of this whole show. So thanks for all the great stuff you do to advance this platform. And we'll see you all again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Sounds good.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. Very nice to meet you.
Bye, guys. Likewise.
Bye-bye.
So
Take
great
care.
to
Let us
see you.
know when you're back
Bye.
in here if you need.
And it makes me laugh with Aaron's like, sorry for hijacking your show. I swear he does it every week.
He does. It's always my excuse to get up here in our show.
I know.
I don't think you were here. I don't think you were here last week when he jumped on stage, and I told everybody I was making fun of him because you saw how everybody knows how upbeat Aaron is, right? So last week he's dying from COVID. He jumps on the stage. He's like, "Hey, Yeah, hey everybody. So glad you're here.
Get off. Get off.
And we're like, oh my gosh, Aaron, get out of here. It was, but he's very supportive, and we so appreciate that. He comes and
that's
supports
incredible.
all of our shows whenever he can, and we appreciate that very much. But let's get back to you, my friend. So,
No,
do you remember
sure.
your thought? We were talking about that particular world that I walked in on you in, and all of that. I think, and then
Transition.
I don't know where we moved from there. Where
I
were
think
we, Rain
We were
Man?
talking about a house.
We need someone with a
maybe,
memory.
Mansion.
Oh, your
Mansion.
house, your
Mansion.
mansion.
Mansion,
Go
right?
ahead.
There you go.
Yes, continue with
I don't
that.
remember
Yeah.
what we were talking about the house, but it's a cool project.
Well, I
It's
will
a
say
cool
that the
world,
mansion
and-
was beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's just that much different than what I see. You know, I see some amazing houses in here, but not built by architects. You know, you're gonna do it just a little bit better, a little bit different. Better wasn't a good word. A little bit more precise, probably, than what some of us would do. Definitely what
It's
I would
different,
do.
yeah.
So, yeah, and a
Well,
lot of the
and-
little
and-
design things were really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. And on the topic of, well, I think we were originally talking about collaboration. So that project, I got to collaborate with another designer in here called Malo 3D. I'm sure a lot of you guys know him. He does incredible work as well. And, you know, it was like, that is the perfect person. I often, when I'm working in this space, I often try to think like, what am I doing in here and why? Right? I have to be cautious of my time because I'm taking away time from my family. I'm taking time away from, obviously I could be doing this in real life and things like that. So to come in here and do that essentially for free or for the, you know, benefit of hopefully people, if they're going to the world, then I have to really make it meaningful and entertaining and fun for myself and for others. So that's why occasionally I will just kind of build out a structure and I'll bring in someone like Matt Lowe, who's so talented, and be like, dude, go ahead and do your thing inside and like just add a Matt Lowe flair to it. And so he went and did some lighting and some cool things like that. And so in the end was a product that never would have been, I think, worked on or created by one individual.
Yeah.
I also had the same experience with Times Square. I don't know if you went to that one. That was one of the first kind of big collaborations I worked on in here.
I have been that
Same
one.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was a big team. There was like 7 of us, and so we worked with graphic designers. There was a guy named Dot and Y, and Cam Bam, who's actually a physical sculptor. And so you had like Dunder as well, who's a builder and kind of like a DJ. He's like a man of many works. So there's just so many people that were involved in these kind of worlds, and because of that, you get these like newly unanticipated results, but just so much better, right? Than if you were just on your own, creating your own little
See,
world by yourself in
and
the
there
corner.
you are, another person that's successful in here. And what's the word? Team. I mean, we just keep having to say it. Anybody who sat on the stage that talks about success, that talks about where they're going and they're advancing, always is collaborating. And that's what we keep telling
I think you
everybody.
have to.
Don't be afraid to let other people have a little credit. It's okay. You can build something so much better.
No, for sure.
So, super great.
Absolutely. The results
Yeah.
are just so much
I
better.
was-
So, yeah.
It got me thinking, like, you build wells in it. Have you ever built in here for clients? Like, you want to show a client the actual experience by seeing it in this type of dimension. That you've considered building it in here first to show them what it could look
Yeah.
like?
So, I often think about this being a great. It's an addition to my tool set, right? And so, like, just like I have 3-dimensional models, or I have like 3D printing that I can show a physical model. Here's a great way to put someone in a headset and come, walk their interior of their home or their building. So I have yet to do it. I have talked to some of my clients in real life. I've also I'm actually in conversations right now with a university down here in Florida. They have an architecture program. And my thing is I want to bring architects in here early because naturally it makes sense, right? It makes sense for architects to be building. But my whole thing is, I think, like, imagine how relevant this is to an architecture student first year, that normally they're learning about ancient Greek architecture in a textbook, but now they can actually build the Pantheon or the Parthenon and actually build it and experience it. And we can learn, and they're going to be an instructor giving a background, and then we can bring in someone from Greece to give more of the historical. And so this is where like the metaverse really becomes just exciting. I think that you could do this in a textbook, obviously.
So true.
So yeah, I definitely consider this to be a super powerful tool. I think it's a little early, obviously, and people, as we were saying earlier, like, people are a little skeptical and they're not sure. But I think once they get in here and they realize, they sort of see that big picture, then they're like, oh, light bulb moment. Now it makes sense. Now I have to build my office in here, or my world, or my business, or whatever it is. So yeah.
Yes. So true. Well, Leo, while your battery's still going, do you think we could maybe take a few questions and comments from the audience?
Absolutely.
Would you be
Yeah,
all right with
please,
that?
please.
Terminator, can you hop on up on the stage? my friend?
So I have
Go
a
ahead.
double question. I always ask this. Well,
All
what
right.
has been your biggest accomplishment and challenge in the metaverse?
Ooh, goodness. Biggest accomplishment. Do you mean like a project?
Whatever you
Or
think
just
is.
in general? Oh,
Mhm.
goodness.
Yeah, whatever you think it is,
Whatever
right?
you think
Question.
is the accomplishment.
You can say
Like, you know, what's your biggest
I think the
achievement?
biggest
Making it to the
I
Good
think-
Morning Soapstone show.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is that report still here?
Aside from making it to the show, I think it's just honestly, I think it's just connecting with such a wide array of talented people, right?
Yes.
Like I know that's not a personal achievement, but that's like we can credit Meta for that, for creating a platform where so many amazing people can come together, and even people who may not have a particular skill set, like a designer, a graphic designer, a formal designer. I'm seeing people come in here that have never built or designed in their life that are doing insane worlds. I'm going like, goodness gracious, like this is like almost like flipping industries on its head, and people just don't know it yet. So I think being part of that is, for me at least, my favorite achievement. And the second part of the question was biggest challenge, right? Personally, for me, it's just finding more time to be in here, to get more involved in the community. I think I've struggled with this kind of, and I think a lot of us struggle with this. Is like, all right, I'm going to come in here and build a few things just for the fun of it. To suddenly people care and they're like, oh, I want you to build this for me. Can you build this for me? Or can blah, blah, blah. And suddenly you're like, all right, well, hold your horses. I have to figure out how this applies to my life, how this matches up with my values, how this matches up with all the things, the priorities that I have going on, like my family. I just had newborn, things like that. And so balancing all that out to say, how do I make this useful not only for myself, my family, but for others that are involved? And so then really thinking about community, which is kind of how the whole Metaverse Masters thing came about. I said, you know what? I'm not going to make this about like my worlds or my creation. Let's make this about other people's creations and like celebrating their wins, because together we're going to elevate the space, ultimately. So I think the challenge is just finding a good balance with all of that. And it was a very long-winded answer. Sorry.
That's a great
I
answer.
thought you
All
were gonna
right,
say
Maddie, were
power
you waiting?
cut.
Come
That's
on
what
up.
I thought you were going to say your biggest challenge was power cuts.
At the moment, it's that. It's like
yeah.
Florida power generators, I guess.
Maddie's got a question.
Maddie,
Go
what's
ahead,
up, man?
Maddie.
My dog, excuse me. Most importantly, congratulations on the newborn. That's
Thank you.
phenomenal news. You're very welcome. I apologize to the cameraman because Cal asked a question. I wasn't on mute. And I said, "Good question" in the background. I just snorted.
That makes me feel good, Matty, actually. Thank you.
Great name drop. Matt Lowe, phenomenal human being, great dude. So
Yeah, great guy.
you have your neoclassical, Tudor, Renaissance, Greek revival, Baroque architecture and whatnot. These are just very few examples. What would you say has influenced you the most when it has come to architectural design?
Do you mean in terms of style or an actual, like a literal
Style?
architect?
No, style would. Yeah, style is.
I think the style that's impacted me the most, and it's just been the most, it's consumed my life, is really more of the contemporary kind of avant-garde. I went to a very avant-garde architecture school, very small school, only 500 of us. So really thinking, I'm very much a futurist. As I mentioned, I did a lot in the 3D printing space, and thinking about how buildings will be created in the future and what technologies we might use and how those actually might translate to the style, quote unquote, that you talked about. So believe it or not, I'm a very style. I actually really dislike style because it means that I'm already sort of like bringing something to the table and enforcing everything around that thing. I really prefer to focus more on process. And so if I'm focusing on a process and I'm using, let's say, a robot arm, well, now the style, the eventual style might look a little different because the robot's in there. So precision is going to be really high. Maybe I can do more curvatures or more very specific things. So, but I think of all the architectural styles, I think just contemporary avant-garde architecture in general, like digital forms, organic architecture, really more like cutting edge, new stuff that we see on, like I said, Dubai, China. We're seeing some of that stuff in the bigger projects here in the States, like stadiums, airports, things like that.
May I ask one more? Is that okay?
No, of course.
Now, as a child growing up, the inspiration to, like, for me, I wanted to be an architect as a kid until I read Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead, and then I was like, I don't want to get into that lifestyle. Was there any works of fiction or any types of books that really put that seed of inception in your head that said, "Wow, man, this is like what I want to do"?
Right. I can't now. I'd have to say no because the books kind of came in later. I started learning about all these books. I didn't even know what the term architecture meant until one day I was working. I was working like a summer job. I was quite young. I was a teenager. I was around like 13, 14, working a summer job, and I was drawing on a piece of paper. And some guy I was at a dentist's office where I was working there, and some guy came in and said, "Wow, you draw really straight lines. You should be an architect." And I was like, "What's that?" And he was like, "Well, they design buildings and stuff." And I was like, "I've been doing that for like 5 years. When my family goes to sleep, I stay up at night, like making mock-ups and weird things like that. I've just been that because I'm into that." And it was that particular man. I wish I knew his name because that man was the first person that put me on the term architecture. And from there, literally that summer, I quit that job and I started working at an architecture firm. I was 14 years old when I got my first architecture gig.
See, the power of just saying something to somebody.
Yeah, the power of influence.
Right? Somebody
really is.
recognized something in you and said, you should do this, and you heard it. That is beautiful.
Yeah,
Who else has a question or comment? Oh, Fraser, come on up.
Hey, guy.
Nice
Hey,
shirt.
I like your
That's
shirt.
wicked.
That is a
I like
handsome
your shirt,
shirt, my
dude.
friend.
You look handsome in that shirt. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad we agree.
They shopped at the same 99-cent store.
We were there together, actually. I saw
we
him.
went together. We went together. We were gonna agree on haircuts as well. But
Right. But we decided
I'm bold
too far.
And too far. Yeah. So just
Yeah, you gotta have hair first, Cal. So there's that.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
All right, I'm sorry.
You deserve that. You deserve that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I came in a little bit late today. But maybe I missed this question. If I did, just tell me to shut up and I'll go away. But what, if any, long-term goals do you have here in the metaverse? Like, what is your vision? What do you want to do here?
So I think it's all about phases, right? And I think that's a great question, by the way. And this initial phase, I think it's really just about working with great people. That's like my number one great thing. I want to find more talented people in here, people who just want to be very sort of successful in the aspects of design and building and VR. I think, of course, I have some professional interests, like working with really great brands and clients, things like that inside of here. But I'm actually like, if we really go like 10 years out, right, long-term vision, I'm really jazzed about this idea of being able to physically create some of the creations that are in here and utilizing advanced technologies to do that. So I know it sounds a little abstract. I recently did that. I 3D printed a small little avatar of Mark Zuckerberg, and it was like I had, it was just kind of a project that I was working on. I was like, oh my God, this could be so interesting. The idea of recreating digital goods in physical that have a whole new meaning behind it. And so what I mean for the built environment, for physical structures, you could imagine walking into digital IKEA, looking at this desk saying purchase, and then next thing you know, it's being printed at like the local, quote unquote Kinko's or Office Max or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I'm super big about futurism and kind of where we're going to be 10 years out, 10, 20 years out. So that's more of a multi long-term form or vision. And I don't know if that's just my vision. I think there are a lot of people kind of focused on this topic, but I'm really excited about that for the future.
Do you a little kind of follow-up question, kind of the same question. Do you see honest potential in your line of work as far as monetary value goes? Like, as far as like, do you see a potential in your future monetarily here?
For architecture, you mean? For the architecture industry?
Yeah. Like, do you see potential here in the metaverse for what you're doing? Yeah, as far as making money.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think so. I think, obviously it's early, and I think people are just beginning to sort of understand what this is. But I think naturally what I believe will happen, and this happens to most technologies, is mass adoption happens. And I think once that happens, brands are going to want to come in, bigger brands and individuals who have small businesses, and they're going to need places like the great Soapstone, right? And so sure, you could be an entrepreneur and learn how to build, or you can say, hey, that guy Leo, he did a really cool building, and I would want him to build my office or whatever it may be. So I think absolutely I'm sure that will happen. It's just a matter of sort of when and how.
Thank you, man. That was great. Thank you very much. Awesome.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Freighter.
Cool
Come on, Coolbird.
So I don't know if anyone else wants to know, but do you charge people to help them build, and do you go in their world to help them build, like do like what they want, or do you not charge?
Yeah, at the moment, with the whole thing of charging is I definitely think it's important to value your time, and so I think we should, as designers, as creators, we definitely should be charging. However, that said, I meet a lot of wonderful creators that are just kind of starting things off in here, and I'm more than happy to just help people out if they need a hand with building or something.
Yeah, like a contractor
Oftentimes
myself,
what I find,
I help build because I do contract and I build I build houses. Like I used to build houses real life before I got my health went down. But I do build houses for a few people, and I came here just like how you got inspiration for that, and I got inspiration to just go. And I came in here. My roommate's like, "Here, join this," and
absolutely
building one.
If it, again, it all comes back to time. If it's something that they're saying, hey, I want to do multiple worlds and I want to have a whole business behind it and I have a whole business model generated, it's all about looking at people's needs. And as an entrepreneur, again, I started a 3D printing firm, and we had a lot of entrepreneurs that would come out to us and go, hey, I want to invent a product, but I have $0. And so we would work out arrangements. I'd say, listen, don't pay us up front, but give us a percentage of equity on the back end. And I worked out a few deals like that ended up being very lucrative for everyone involved. And so I believe in coming up with creative collaboration models and that don't require just straight cash up front. However, believe it or not, there are a lot of advantages for people who do just want to pay, right? They're like, I just want to give you a little bit of money and get you out of my hair. Just build me my thing, and then I don't want to have to deal with long-term partnerships or equity. And so I'm always open for that as well.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice. Thank you, Coolbird.
Trainer Cal's going to shoot off in the middle here. He's got a meeting he's got to get to, but that's okay. So you just go when you got to go. But come on up, Rain Man. Did you have a question?
Cheers.
Come on up.
I'll catch you around.
Hi. Leo, I'm enjoying your talk quite a bit. I have a good friend in architecture in Chicago, David Irvin with GREC Architects, and they're doing a lot of high-rise building design in Dubai. And I've been on this a couple of years, and I came on, and I was thinking, if he could give me the interior of the rooms, I was putting furniture designers in Belgium together, to do English modern or teak furniture designs, and then to put them in the actual rooms so people, your buyers of your buildings could actually see how they could furnish their buildings on the inside, and we could sell furniture. I just thought that might be a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, again, it's a great point. I think that oftentimes people just think, hey, this is like a VR thing, or hey, this is like a game. And I try to tell people, don't think of it that way. Think of it as a new medium, just like the way we would like when Photoshop. Yeah, it's like when Photoshop was invented. This is the equivalent of that, and much larger, I think, eventually. So I think, yeah, for sure, for representation of interiors or even buildings or cityscapes. I mean, there's so many things that we could be mocking up in here that could be representation of what can actually happen in the real world.
I am like a commercial broker, so I'm used to the land structure contract cycle, and I'm trying to get to the build cycle with the designer cycle and go ahead and all completion to end. So this is really interesting to me. I have a great interest in large projects like Taubman museums and so on, with all the modern designs in the U.S. And they've done a lot of banks in the U.S. also. Well, good job.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing some of your works.
I'd love to continue that conversation. I think we have to get more construction type people together in here to have these kind of like mini masterminds.
And that's a great point. That's a great point. That's a great point. And we do a lot of that, right? A community starts to form around something like that, and if you look out there, there's plenty of hubs of certain types of people. They build the whole hub world, and they put all their own connections in there. So when you find these people, maybe one of you could take the lead on that and create, a hub world for all of you so that they can connect with you. I mean, as you move into running your own businesses in here, if that's what you choose to do, that's one way, So does anybody else have another question for Leo? Go ahead, Super.
Hey,
this is probably going to be our last question,
up,
unless if there's anybody else, let's have one more. If there's anybody else, but that'll be it after Super. So go ahead, Super.
All right, so first, before I get to my question, I gotta say I've seen a handful of your worlds, and I've got to say it is absolutely astounding. I love it. Everything,
Thank you,
just really, I love it. So what I want to ask you is, for you personally, what is some of your favorite architecture projects that you've done in both real life and here in Meta? And I guess a follow up to that would be, do you often, like now, do you compare real life architecture to what you do in the meta, or is it vice versa?
Yeah. Maybe working backwards to that. I don't try to compare the two because they're just it's so different. I think eventually you're going to start to see more of a merge between these two things. Like I said, I think we're going to start to see kind of, especially governments. And I noticed that in China, working with like large institutions and governments, they're going to go, hey, I went to like a city in the quote unquote metaverse. We need to do that here. And so you saw like in Saudi Arabia, they recently did a linear city. I think a lot of these kinds of things are starting to sort of merge. So I don't think it's happened just yet where we start to see an actual direct correlation between these two things. But yeah, just to go. So with regard to like favorite projects, I like my projects. I love all the projects, but there's just so many other great projects in here to mention. I know I see someone, Takatato's here in the audience. I just want to shout him out because he's doing amazing work in here as well, right? Like Matt Lowe and Black Harley's another one. Hardy West. There's like really just amazing people doing incredible work. Flex Ty, Shinzi, like just like so many amazing creators. So I think it's too early to talk about like favorites, quote unquote, right? I think we're in the testing prototype phase, and I'm just
we're in
super
the Wild West.
With such,
we're
in the Wild West.
Yeah,
I'm super thrilled to be finding more people like that, like the Angels out there, Angel, the artist, and other great people, and being like, we got to do something together. I just learned about Pignol, and she has a guinea pig village. I don't know if you guys have been there. I'm like, how can I design a building for her worlds? Because they're so entertaining, and I just want to do like architecture type stuff, right? So yeah, I know that didn't really answer the question directly, but that's the best I got for you right now.
No, it's perfect. All right. If we don't have any more questions, we're going to end it here. I just want to make sure. Has anybody got any final question? We're all good. We're good. And you, Leo, do you have any final thoughts? Anything you want to say at the end?
Well, no. First off, just thank you. I think what you're doing here is incredible. This is amazing. Thank you so much for the kind invitation. I know we barely knew each other, and you invited me on. I was like, wow, that's really special. But I'm thrilled to see what's happening in here. I'm thrilled to see the progress that's happening in here, and I think, I'm hopeful to see where the show goes in the future. And if you need anything, please just let me know. And the same goes for anyone in here that's watching. If you guys need anything, suggestions, if you want advice, introductions to other great designers like Zach the artist I see back there as well, reach out to me. Let me know. You can reach me at LeoTheArchitect in here, or Leo.thearchitect on Instagram.
Thank you, Leo. And you are just another wonderful example of all the different people that are in here and all the crazy things that are going on and wonderful things that are going on. And I hope we really realize what we have here, you guys. We really have something amazing here. A wonderful sense of community, a wonderful group of super talented people coming together in this space. I just, please keep spreading positivity. Please keep spreading inclusivity. That is how we're going to build this place, by doing that. The more we push people away or separate, we're destroying our own world. And, that's the same philosophy I have for the earth. So please just keep supporting each other. And Leo, thank you. Thank you. So Nanook, take us out. Thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate you guys very, very much. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, by the way, Leo, you guys, maybe Leo can open a portal out there for anybody. Will you do that for a portal to any of your worlds where they can just